So, have you finally been able to convince your boss or colleagues that you need to be doing user research? If so, good. The next challenge is, where do you find these people to interview? What do you do? Maybe you can't afford to hire a recruiting firm. So in this video, I want to address, where do you find people to interview for user research and usability testing? But before we get to that, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Sarah Doody, an entrepreneur and UX designer based in New York City, and I really want to help everyone learn how to think like a designer so you can make smarter decisions for your product or whatever you're working on. So these episodes are filled with honest answers and insights to your questions about business, technology, and design. And if you want to learn more about user experience, you can get my weekly user experience newsletter. It's totally free, theuxnotebook.com. So where do you find people to interview? Maybe you have not even launched a product yet. Maybe you do have a product. It doesn't matter. These tips will help you shortcut ways to finding people faster and potentially cheaper too. So the first way that you could go about finding people is the traditional way, through a recruiting firm. And recruiting firms are often very expensive because they do this for a living, and they really do garner good research participants and recruits. Now the challenge is, sometimes these recruiting firms can be $100 a person, $150 a person, or more. And let's face it, not everyone can afford that expense when it comes to finding people. The other challenge is, a lot of times these companies take a while because they have other clients and they can't just drop everything and meet your needs, especially if what you want to research is quite niche. So here are some tips for how you can go about finding these people on your own. So one of my best recommendations, let's start off with an example about a running product. I'm a runner, so I always default to these examples. But let's say you're doing a running product. Who cares if it's launched or not launched yet? Doesn't matter. If I were doing a running product and I wanted to find people to interview to either explore the industry of running, a problem space, just get to know, how do runners think? How do runners choose new shoes, train for a 5K? What do they do for cross training? Just get to know kind of the life of a runner. If I wanted to do that, I would think to myself, where do runners hang out right now? So I would look to maybe Facebook groups for runners. I would look and see if there's any online running communities, if there are popular running blogs, if there's any Twitter accounts related to running. And I would either just start posting in those groups, let's say the Facebook group. Now, you could just start posting and saying, hey, I'm doing some research for running. I need to talk to 5 people. Any takers? The better way to do that, though, is to participate in the group and start to be a member and add advice. Of course, if you're not a runner, don't fake it, but maybe you are a runner. And the idea is, start providing value before you ask for something in return. Not always possible, but if that's the case, it's always nice to do. It just seems a little less spammy. So look for places where the people already hang out, Facebook groups, online running communities, Twitter, etc. I would also seek out any influencers that you might be able to have tweet or make an Instagram post or post on their Facebook. This would be a great way to get a really vetted community of people to reach them really fast. Then it might be nice to give that influencer, the person who has the Twitter account, the Instagram account, a little nice thank you card or gift card or something, just to show them a sign of appreciation. I would also search on running blogs. We said that. Oh, but the reviews of other running products. So I would dig into competitors and see what people are saying about competitors. Now, go to their app on the App Store or Google Store and see what people are writing about them. You'll learn a lot, and you might not even need to talk to anyone. Well, you still should actually, but this could be very supplemental. You could also look for blog posts about reviews of that product or service. You get the idea. This idea of go find people where they already are, and also then go find where people are already writing about this and maybe follow up with them and talk to them, but sometimes you may not have to. The other thing I like to do is search on social media. So sometimes I go to Twitter and just type in like a running app for, or an app for running that, or running apps, and start tweaking those search terms that you put in, and you'll start to get into the head of people. Now you have to take it with a grain of salt because people kind of put nonsense on Twitter sometimes. But if you search, you'll probably find a lot of great material as well. So those are my best tips for finding people, I guess, on social media and in groups. Now, if we shift gears a little bit and think about where else could you find people, I've had a lot of success on Craigslist, especially if you're in North America, US specifically. Craigslist is really helpful. Now, it only works if you screen the people really well. So when I post on Craigslist, I put a lot of key details in the post that will weed out people that I don't want to talk to. And here's what I mean. In the Craigslist post, I say something like, hey, I'm doing research about running, and I am going to be talking to people on these days at this time. That way, if they're not available on those dates and times, they won't contact me. And then I say, it's going to last 30 minutes, and you'll get a gift card, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, if this sounds like you, please click this link and fill out this Google form. And then that Google form is my screener or a questionnaire, whatever you want to call it, that has deeper questions. And then I decide, based on that, who I actually want to talk to. Now, if you're international, think about what is your Craigslist equivalent and try to post on there. So hopefully that gives you a kickstart on where to look for people to talk to when it comes to user research and usability testing. Now, if your product is in market, though, one last thing, try to identify power users who you could talk to who seem to be succeeding using your product, but also I would also try and talk to people who maybe tried and fell off. So maybe they signed up, if it's a subscription, they signed up for a month or two and dropped off. You want to get that balance and figure out what are the people who love your product experiencing and what are the people who tried it and left. Why did they leave? So use your existing user base to really tap into people that you could talk to or do usability tests with. So that's all for today. I hope this has helped you jumpstart that process of getting over the hurdle of, okay, I know we need to do research. Where do we find the people? That's it for today. Keep watching this playlist if you want to learn more about user research, because there's a lot more in here. And I will talk to you soon. If you have a question for me, head on over to sarahdoody.com and you will find a contact link, and then you'll be able to ask me your question right there. That's all for today. Good luck, and go out there and start talking to some users. You won't regret it. I promise you. It will give you so many insights on what's working and what's not, and more importantly, why. So good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.